Hello, everybody. This is the first GED report of 2019. Happy New Year, everybody. It's been a little bit of a time. I'm doing this old style with my phone held in front of me. Very old school for the new year, actually doing things the old way. As a quick note, I did go back in time and delete my Facebook account. I'll actually dedicate a GED report to that. I feel like I've been let out of prison, so I think I'll do a separate GED report on social media, particularly my decision to get rid of my 13-year-old Facebook account. But I want this GED report is on something somewhat tangentially related, and that is the fake America. I have a young daughter, she's 10, and I have started unintentionally, actually, talking about the fake America, the America we live in today. And it comes up a fair amount. It came up just granularly, organically, originally, because something would happen, or there'd be something in the news, or she would ask a question about why certain things were the way they were. And I'd say, well, that's because, honey, you live in the fake America. Back in the real America, these things didn't happen. And people were able to, and then the rest of the story would go on. And I want to clarify what I mean by that, because we do live in the fake America. Just about everything we talk about and deal with is fake. First thing I'll talk about is fake money. All right, I have a list here, and I want to access it and be careful about it. So we have fake money. And what do I mean by that? We don't have gold or silver or arable land. We don't use a medium of exchange that fits any definition of money in the past. Back in the real America, money meant something. There was a gold standard. That term is still used today. Rolls-Royce is the gold standard of automobiles. There's a reason why people say that. Because money had to be valuable. It had to have some kind of inherent value to mean anything. What do we do now? You have a magnetic strip or a chip on a plastic card. That's money. Okay? You open up your bank account in your browser on your computer. It's just ones and zeros digitized to create an image on the screen. Can you move the decimal place around however you want? Preferably to the right? No. It's just a number on a screen. Is there a stash of cash in a vault somewhere that represents that money? No. You know there isn't. I know there isn't. It doesn't work like that anymore. Or you might have cash. And what does it mean? It's a green slip of paper with some nice designs on it. Dead presidents, we like to say sometimes. Greenbacks. Guap, cheddar. How many terms for money do you want to hear? It's just paper. Back in the real America, they got rid of the greenbacks. They flushed them out of the system. The biggest economic boom you've seen in modern history was between 1889. No, actually it was between 1879 and 1889. In the United States, reasonably free economy at the time. Why? Because they got rid of the green slips of paper that were greenbacks that had no inherent value. It's just slips of paper. And the people back then knew that. They understood that. Do Americans understand that now? No. Talk about the gold standard with a garden variety American. In between gulps of their Slurpee and they're inhaling a giant-sized Snickers, they're going to look at you like you're crazy. Okay. There you go. Point proven. Next topic. I really should have had this somewhere else. Some people take a lot of abuse, particularly Donald Trump and Michael Savage and these guys. These guys are, they're a little rough, right? Their rhetoric is pretty tight, but their meaning is always taken as these, rabid, fire-breathing dragon types. I'm talking about the border. right? The first two people that came to mind, Trump takes a lot of abuse for his talking about the border. Michael Savage is a radio show host who used to take abuse for it back in the 1990s, early 2000s. And as loath as I am to bring those two people up, if you're in a country, doesn't it have to have a border? Now, as a libertarian, the whole border thing doesn't sit well with me, but listen to the words. If you're going to have a country, doesn't it have to have a border? Why did they put checkpoints in between the United States and Canada? Is Canada some kind of rabid, psychotic country that wants to have a border erased in between the U.S. and itself? Why do other countries have clearly defined borders, have people at those borders with guns stopping people from coming in? Why are those countries given no flack at all and abused in the press? Not at all. But the United States and its border should be this porous kind of non-entity down on the border of the United States and Mexico. And not only that, if you think that there should be a border that is enforced, you are a racist, bigot, what other words do they use? I think they use Islamophobe. I can't keep track. I get called a lot of things. I can't keep up with them sometimes. But the United States border is somehow the sacrosanct, sacred thing that should not really sort of exist. And everybody on the other side of it should come to the United States. In the real America, even if you were somebody like me, a libertarian that has some distaste for the whole border thing, you understood the logic though. In the real America, you understood the logic because they taught logic. You understood if you're going to do it this way, if you're going to have this country, any country, it has to have a border and it needs to be looked at, protected, taken care of, and enforced. Couldn't just not have it. Then what's the point? You can't have one and not the other. You want to abolish all countries? Okay. That's a different issue. Abolish all countries. We'll just have a one world of stuff, of space. Good luck with that. But then you'd see some division. That would be funny. That'd be a nice thought experiment. But you can't have both. You can't have it both ways. And in the real America, you understood, regardless of what your personal opinion was, you understood, yeah, you can't have it both ways. Okay. All right, the next thing on the list in the fake America is I have fake people, right? My 10-year-old asks me one of the things I talk about, well, America is filled with fake people. And some of that has to do with social media. Some of that really is the social media phenomenon. Anti-social media, I call it nowadays. Not social media is what I call it. And so I think I have a point. You talk to people today about topics that are reasonably important, and we need to talk about important topics, but you don't even have to get down to the deep ones. People have to raise their children. They have to hold down their jobs. Finances could be tight. Okay, that's not totally understandable. But you talk to a garden variety American about anything reasonably important, and what do you get? Slogans, poorly thought out sound bites, historical ignorance. It just never stops. This latest, I don't know what to call it, kerfluffle, this latest burst in the media, LeBron James had to apologize. He apologized because he tweeted out lyrics from a rap song that talked about we're getting that Jewish money and everything is kosher. He had to apologize. All right, that's going to be its own GED report. That one's coming. But I know my legions of fans have been chomping at the bit. Don't worry, I'll talk about that. But what he said afterwards was eye-opening. I didn't know that Jewish people were stigmatized. He didn't use that word, but he said, I didn't know that there was some kind of stereotype about Jewish people being stereotyped for this love affair with money, meaning that they don't really care about people. He didn't know. So he said, if you're offended, I apologize. So stupid Americans, of course, that's not an apology. If you're offended, I apologize. So the onus is now on the person who's offended, not on him. He doesn't say, I apologize for what I said. No, he said, if you're offended, I apologize. So if you're not offended, he doesn't apologize. And now the person who's offended, it's on you to accept his apology, right? Pretty weird how that goes. And then how do you not know that stereotype? How does LeBron James, who I keep hearing how smart he is, his basketball IQ is about 10 billion. And he's going to be the first player with 10,000 plus points, assists, and rebounds. And we're never going to see that again. But that being said, in a real America, somebody who went through the school system, any school system, and graduated as a high school senior, as LeBron James did, would know that that's a stereotype. How's that? How do you not know that? In the real America, people were just more knowledgeable about everything. Ask them about politics. If you ask a progressive, what are you going to hear? Orange man bad. That's the progressive viewpoint. It doesn't matter policy, none of what's going on in the world, anything positive from the Trump administration, it doesn't matter. If you ask a Republican, right, what do you get? Those are just liberal snowflakes. That's it. You get those two views and nothing else. So the fake America is filled with people who really don't know anything, don't understand history, have no nuance, and don't read. So that's a big one there. Next on the list is I have, under the heading of people, I have three things. I have unserious, I have ignorant, and scared. Ignorant, we covered. Unserious, we covered that too for the most part. Important things, not taken seriously. But the last one I have for the fake America, the people, or one might say sheeple in America, are that they're scared. And I mean that. I actually put scared on purpose. Because they are scared. They're scared of saying things that they think aren't politically correct. In the olden days, you had people saying politically incorrect things all the time. Most of the progressive movements in the 60s, the civil rights movements of the 50s and the 60s, people said lots of politically incorrect things. It was a more conservative America. You could argue a better America, right? It was closer to the real America. But people said politically incorrect things because they wanted their agenda to get put across and to get noticed and to slide things in a direction that they wanted. Now, people are scared. You have people who are afraid to say things that they know are true. And why? Because they don't want to take abuse. They don't want to be threatened by blue check NPCs on Twitter. They don't want the mob coming after them. And so it really is people with traditional values. I'm talking about people of all races and stripes. All of them, for the most part, and there are exceptions, but there are very few exceptions, and you have people who are afraid to say things. If you say something like, I think, let's pick this one. I think men and women are different. That's really not that earth-shattering. But you say that on a social media site like Twitter or Facebook, they, quote unquote, they will come after you. And so people are afraid. There was a post the other day, and it was on social media, and it was Bill de Blasio, the so-called alleged mayor of New York City. signing a document that now babies born in New York City, there is going to be a third checkbox other than male or female. A third checkbox. Now, this is my point. In the real America, if the mayor of the financial capital of the country, probably the world, were to sign a bit of legislation that were to allow a permanent, this is going to be there on all the certs, at birth, gender, male, female, and a third box for something else. In the real America, there would have been an instantaneous pillory of de Blasio in the press. That would have happened within a couple of hours. De Blasio would have been completely manhandled in the press. All the major papers of the city would go after him and call him a fool and anti-science and idiotic. And then you'd see some legislative maneuvering to have the guy taken out of office. In the fake America, the one we're in now, people are on doing press conferences talking about how brave it is, and now there's going to be no stigma of gender, and gender is fluid, and it's a social construct, and this is so brave. That's the fake America. For people, and again, in a real America, they'd see the double standard instantly. The same people who say that religion is a joke and absurd and anachronistic, and they love science, right? There's a big thing, I effing love science. Well, they do, right up until Bill de Blasio puts down on a thing in the city that now it can be your gender can be male, female, or something else. You effing love science until that comes out. And then what happens? Why don't you say anything about it? Because you're scared. And in a real America, people weren't scared. They actually paid attention to science. And they didn't behave this way. And that's, in a nutshell, the difference between the real America, which is way, way gone, and the fake America, the one we live in now. That's your GED report on the fake America. See you next time. We'll talk about some of the other topics and bring in 2019 in a way that is new, fresh, and even better. Nothing but the best for my legions of fans. Talk to you later.